talked to a person the other day because I like to have conversations with people who, may not think like me. I like to see how they're thinking, what they're thinking. This guy claims that he is a moderate Republican. He is a therapist. And he was saying, you know what? I haven't made up my mind yet. I was like, how is that? How have you not made up your mind? And he said, well, I watched JD Vance's documentary. This is how these people think. I watched his documentary. And as a therapist, he has to have a lot of trauma from how he was raised and what he went through and what he saw. I said, well, yeah, people do. But what do? You put on your bootstraps and you get through it and you learn from it and you make sure it's not repeated, right? Everybody has some type of trauma, some more than others. I get it. But it doesn't mean that you're going to be scarred for the rest of your life. But this is how therapists think, right? That is he really capable of being a vice president, with all this trauma in his childhood? I was like, interesting you would say that, because let's look at the other guy, Waltz, who put tampons in boys' bathrooms, allows boys to use girls' locker rooms and restrooms, is for men competing in women's sports. And the therapist just kind of looked at me. He said, well, yeah. I said, do you think that's a problem? Well, yeah. I said, but you're analyzing one guy and what he went through, and there's no evidence that it's affecting him. And you have the other guy who's actually following through with doing crazy, bizarre things, but the Democrats don't want to talk about that, right? No, that's up to the school boards. It's up to the city councils, all the other stuff. They don't claim it. That's why you never hear Governor Whitmer talk about it. That's why you will never see, Elisa Slotkin address it. And we're all saying, what the hell's going on here? This is insane. Why are we doing this? They just don't talk about it. They just put out lies. See, the things that they can be held accountable for, they stay very quiet. You guys watched the Cuomo committee hearing yesterday, where, again, just a bunch of grandstanding by all of our congressmen and women, yelling at him, accusing him, but there's no accountability, right? Even though he murdered people in nursing homes, which, by the way, our governor here did too. She put COVID-infected people in nursing homes, resulting in the deaths. Whether you did it intentionally or unintentionally, you're still accountable for making those decisions. You don't get a get-out-of-jail-free card with me, especially when all the research started to show what this virus truly was, and you could have made different decisions, but you, our nanny governor here in the state of Michigan, doubled down and locked us up longer, right? Kept our kids out of school longer, hammered down on our restaurants, everything else longer, when Florida and all the other states were opening up and doing it right at the time, and all they did was gaslit and attack them, and COVID hell was upon them. No accountability. No accountability for Fauci. No accountability for any of these elected officials, and that is what's so frustrating, right? And that's why they were successful in their narrative last night.